What a beautiful woman she is. Ilene Ballentine has been a spiritualist for over 30 years and has been a professional medium for over 25. She also teaches workshops that assist students with emotional healing and gives practical tools to navigate the game we call life. And boy, isn't it a game. Ilene has resided in West Volusia since 1988. She and her husband of 38 years have raised two wonderful daughters and now get the privilege to play with their three granddaughters almost every day. How beautiful is that? Help me in welcoming Ilene Ballentine to the platform.
Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you. Thank you for that lovely meditation. I'm always so amazed at how in sync it is with what I'm going to speak about. And also, when you go back to memory, I had a memory that I hadn't thought about in over 20-some years. My husband and I had taken our daughters to the mountains for a vacation. And you know, the windy, kind of crazy mountain roads. Well, on a little teeny patch on the side, I saw these beautiful purple flowers. And I told my husband, pull over. Luckily, and he did. And when I got up there to pick one of these purple flowers, it was actually a carpet of purple lavender butterflies. And they lifted up and they floated off, and underneath it was a perfectly round circle of baby mushrooms. So I found a fairy ring. And so thank you for bringing that memory back. So, okay, I'm back. Good morning. I can't believe that Christmas is only 10 days away. Somehow this time of year seems to catch me in a whirlwind of activity, decorations, festivities, and mostly paper cuts from my feeble attempts at wrapping gifts. I usually just take the Scotch tape and go like this. But I love so much about this season. I love the lights on the trees, the music, the special memories that each ornament holds in my heart as I gently untuck it from its year's slumber. I think this is a magical time when Mother Earth slows down and most of nature rests, awaiting the return of the sun. In the spirit of slowing down and resting, I do also take time around this time of year for some reflection and some daydreaming. Hi, John. I can't see on the other side of that tree. I reflect on Christmases past when my parents were here on this earth plane. They used to come over every Christmas morning and watch my girls unwrap their gifts, and then we would sit down and have pecan waffles and bacon and real maple syrup. And back then that was a treat for us. I also like to reflect on the gifts that I've been given for this past year. I always have so much more to be thankful for than I do to gripe about. However, there is something to be said about a good old-fashioned pity party. You can count me in. Every once in a while, I think it's deserved. As long as you don't overstay your welcome. One of the things I've let go of this year, and probably for the past couple of years, is making New Year's resolutions. How many people here have given that up? Yes. So I was leading a Zoom call a couple weeks ago, and at the end of the call, I asked the participants if they had any revelations. Notice I didn't say resolutions, I said revelations. And that's what I'm going to talk about this morning. Now, being raised Jewish, that word doesn't have the same energy for me as it does for some people. I don't equivalate that word with the destruction or the end of the world. Quite the opposite. To me, the word revelation means sudden and inspiring truths that were not known to me before. Now, most of my revelations are preceded by some sort of discomfort or emotional heaviness. Like this morning, I had one right on the way here. I asked my husband, I said, he drops me off, I said, when you go home, can you get rid of all the boxes and tidy up so I can do some more wrapping? And he gave me, the look. So I went to my head and I thought, I do everything for Christmas. I plan the meals, I buy it. And I thought, I had a revelation. And the revelation was, it doesn't matter if he thinks I've done enough. What matters is if I think I've done enough. And so I gave myself a pat on the shoulder because I already have my Excel spreadsheet done for my Christmas Eve dinner. That's pretty good. Yeah. I know that at 6 p.m. the pine rib will be on the table. So another revelation I've had is that when I was born, my brother was 3.5, and my sister was 2.5, and then here I come, a newborn baby. 3 kids in 3.5 years is a lot. It could even be said that as the third, a newborn baby, I was a burden. And let me tell you, it doesn't feel good to go through your life feeling like you're a burden. But that's what I did. I carried that I'm a burden story with me for 59 years. Yes, taking care of 3 small children can be an exhausting burden, but does that mean that I'm only a burden? One day I was in the throes of feeling the pain that I associated with being a burden, and somehow that suffering got interrupted with another thought. What if I'm a blessing to the world? What if all the things people have told me about how my work helps them, and I'm a good person, and I've changed their lives, what if that's true? And that was another revelation I had. I can be a burden and a blessing simultaneously, and I have proven it. Just as taking care, now, when I wrote that intro, I had 3 granddaughters, now I have 4. Just as taking care of my 4 granddaughters can be exhausting, right? I have a newborn, a 5, 6, and 7, and they're 6, 7, and 8 now, and they're a blessing that I wouldn't trade for anything. So that was a revelation for me. So now I can name the fact that I can be a burden as well as a blessing, and it's a fact to me now. I don't have to fight or extinguish the belief that I can be a burden in order to get enjoyment out of the revelation that I'm a blessing. So we don't have to give up. We have lots of stories, we have lots of beliefs, we have lots of luggage that we've been carrying around. We don't have to get rid of it, and we can lighten the load. For me, now revelations, when they occur, can be very exciting. For me, it's like a lightning bolt hits. It's that aha moment when your soul acknowledges that you have just uncovered some sacred truth. You know that feeling, right? When you just say, and you just know it's truth. Now, shortly after that discovery, my brain kicks in, and it does a Google search on everything related to this new truth. And then come the questions. How could that be? Why didn't I know this already? Is this really true? And so on and so on and so on. Revelations can be rewarding, like untangling Christmas lights that have been balled up for years, because something that may have been frustrating or seemed broken or defective now reveals its wholeness to you. When you do have a revelation about your magnificence, I encourage you to slow down and take time to enjoy the process. You can start by looking at whatever the crack or fault is in a non-judgmental way. Then, take a good look at all the parts of you that are not broken. See how you shine. Have your revelation. Look for evidence of how each of you make a difference in this world. Catch yourself in the middle of doing a random act of kindness, like smiling at someone, or holding the door open, or even just thinking good thoughts. On nights when I have trouble sleeping, I have this exercise that I do. And I think of a person, and in my head I say their name, I see their face, and I follow that with, may you be happy and well. And then I go on to the next person and on to the next person. And if I have anyone in my life that I have conflict with at that time, I start with them. Get the hard ones out of the way. So sometimes I go through hundreds of names, but I usually fall asleep after a few dozen. So these are just some of the tools that I use to make my own happiness. And as we stated this morning, our seventh principle states that we affirm that we make our own happiness or unhappiness as we obey or disobey nature's physical and spiritual laws. I think happiness is a skill. And like any other skill, it takes practice and dedication. My 7-year-old granddaughter, she can do splits and straddles and cartwheels. And then she went, for some reason, she went a couple weeks without practicing or doing it. And she tried to do it. She goes, Granny, I can't do a split like I did 2 weeks ago. And I said, yep, your little muscles are tightening up. I said, you have to practice and stretch. For instance, how many people here wake up on most mornings thinking, what time is it? Where am I? What do I have to do today, right? That's my first thought most of the time. Yeah. That's how I start my day a lot of times. And then my feet hit the floor, and I'm off on a rather painful morning obstacle course, trying to catch up. Then there are those days when I remember that I'm a blessing. I remember that I'm grateful to be on this earth and how wonderful she is. I remember that I'm the writer, producer, director, and starring role in my own life. And those are really good days. So why don't I remember to start each day like that? Well, I hope one day to be able to. But for now, I use those other days as ways to explore and enrich my life. Like when I had the revelation that I was a blessing. It started with me feeling like a burden. Another example of a recent revelation that started off as a rather uncomfortable exploration was when I was really allowed myself to feel how sad I felt as a child and a young adult because I didn't fit in. Can anyone here relate to feeling like they didn't fit in, either as a child or young adult? I don't know about you guys, but all I wanted was to be like everyone else. I wanted to be, now this was my thing, I wanted to be blonde hair, blue-eyed, thin, Christian, and rich. You see, this is how I perceived the whole world except for me. Everybody else was that way. It was painful for me to feel like I was different. Because in feeling different, I made the assumption that I was less than because I was not like the majority. It was only this past week that I had this revelation. I was watching a near-death experience video. If any of you haven't watched them, I highly recommend them on YouTube. Just search near-death experiences. And the young woman stated that when she passed, she was shown that everything in her life had been chosen before birth. Even being a drug addict, everything was chosen. She was also shown that the things she chose to experience in this life, although they seemed bad at the time, were really the things that created her gifts. Right then, I had the revelation that maybe I chose to be different so I could overcome that belief that I'm less than. So I had the revelation. What comes next? The Google search. This time I actually went on Google. And here's what I came up with. Only 15% of Caucasian people have curly hair. That's me. Only 10% of humans are left-handed. I'm left-handed. Only 2% of people have green eyes. I have green eyes. And drumroll, please. Only 0.2% of the population is Jewish. And I was born Jewish. I'm practically a unicorn. When you look at all those statistics, And I chose all those unique characteristics, then went through my life feeling sorry for myself for not fitting in. Pretty silly, huh? Needless to say, I got a really good chuckle out of that. So this unicorn encourages all of the unicorns here today to remember what may seem to be an obstacle or a hindrance may be your beautiful golden horn. Seek your own revelations about yourself, about the world, about spirit, about anything and everything that can make your journey on this planet lighter. If this is a season for gifts, give yourself the gift of self-discovery and make sure to wrap that gift beautifully in self-acceptance. This can easily lead you to the path of self-love and self-care, which in my opinion are the two most important gifts that we can give ourselves. So, speaking of gifts, each of you got a little bag when you walked in, right? My granddaughters put those together. They had so much fun. And they said that if I come next year and do the same thing, that they want to come and pass them out. So, you notice in there's 3 pieces of chocolate, because I just think chocolate is important. There's a little crystal heart, and each of them are different. There's like 20 different kinds, so see what you got. And then there's also a little brass bell. And we have a tradition in my home, and the littles do it now too. On New Year's Eve, we run around the house and we say, ring out the old, ring in the new, ring out the false, ring in the true. So you can do that, or, like Jamie said, you can look at it as, or Sandra said that, as angels getting their wings every time you hear that. So I want to thank you all for your attention, and in conclusion, most of you know that one of the ways Spirit speaks through me is poetry, and they gave me a poem last night for today. So I'm going to read that to you, and it is called Winter's Quest. Hark, ye lovers of Yuletide cheer, come out and rejoice as winter draws near. Seek the light on these cool, condensed days. Let nature be your muse as she dances and plays. The air turns crisp in this lapis evening sky. The wind gently blows, lifting leaves up to fly. Rolling and twirling like dancers may do, then landing ever softly, making wishes come true. Wrap yourself in a blanket by the crackling fire. Gently close your eyes as you feel yourself tire. Allow your dreams to take you away to castles and kingdoms where fairy folk play. And there, as you wander through forest and glen, laughing and playing as a child once again, that magical treasure you sought from the start is buried inside you. It lives in your heart. Now you know all the secrets and have weathered the test. Your reward is the treasure from this long winter's quest. Thank you all.